welcome to a deep dive, where poetry and spirituality kind of like collide in a virtual ashram of all places.
Wow.
Yeah. So get this. We're exploring a book called Real Poets in a Virtual World,
Okay.
which features poems and art from the Prosperity Path Ashram in Second Life.
That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about casual verses here.
Yeah.
You're about to hear how these poets grappled with some really profound questions, like the nature of God and even what lies beyond this life, all inspired by prompts and exercises from the ashram's leader, E.J. Gold.
So they're using this digital space to kind of delve into these really deep questions.
Right. It's like they've taken, this digital space, which is usually associated with, escapism, and turned it into a platform for like such deep introspection.
Exactly.
The Prosperity Path Ashram, as described in the book, seems to be like a vibrant online community dedicated to exploring these big existential questions. So how did this virtual ashram approach something as vast and abstract as like the concept of God?
Well, the poets were challenged to express the nature of the absolute you could think of as God, without relying on traditional theological frameworks. They were asked to share personal experiences, almost like reports from behind the looking glass.
Wow.
Instead of intellectual analysis.
That's a really interesting approach. It kind of reminds me of, those mystical poets that describe their direct encounters with the divine.
Yeah.
But instead of like solitary meditation, these poets are using their avatars and the virtual world as like tools for exploration.
That's a great point, and you see this reflected in poems like Behind and Underneath,
Okay.
where Gail Baring Porter describes encountering the absolute as this all-encompassing energy that exists behind and underneath everything. There's this sense of awe and wonder, but also a deep personal connection.
And in the absolute, Laura Lila compares the absolute to a nurturing great mother. Right. Raising the question of whether this divine force experiences suffering or regret alongside creation. It's a very human way of trying to understand something that's ultimately beyond comprehension.
Yeah, and that human element is really central to the whole collection.
Yeah.
These aren't just abstract theological musings. They're, deeply personal explorations of faith and doubt, love and loss.
Right.
All filtered through the lens of this virtual world.
And speaking of the virtual world, the book dives into how the poets see their avatars as more than just digital representations. They're like windows into potential future selves, embodying aspects of their personalities or aspirations they haven't fully realized yet.
That's a concept that E.J. Gold, the ashram's leader, really emphasizes.
Okay.
He suggests that our avatars can be seen as embodiments of our future, more spiritually evolved selves. It's almost like looking into a digital mirror and seeing a reflection of your highest potential.
That must have been like a powerful exercise for the poets.
Yeah.
To stare into their avatars' eyes and try to connect with this future version of themselves.
Right.
I wonder what kind of insights and emotions that experience evoked.
Well, you can sense that in poems like My Avatar Myself,
Ooh.
where Edgenbite describes their avatar gazing back with a trembling lip,
Oh, wow.
as if on the verge of revealing something profound. It creates this feeling of anticipation and mystery, like the avatar holds secrets about the poet's true nature.
There's this sense that the avatar is not just a digital puppet,
Yeah.
but an entity with its own presence and potential.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like a separate being that's connected to the poet on a deeper level.
Yes, and that's echoed in Antimatter's poem, My Avatar, where they describe their avatar as a siren, gypsy, witch who embodies these alluring and powerful qualities that the poet themselves might not fully possess yet.
Almost like the avatar is a guide or a mentor, beckoning the poet to step into their full potential. And in Poem for Us, Antimatter even has their avatar directly address them, saying, "Don't you recognize me?"
Oh, wow.
It's as if the avatar is challenging the poet to see themselves more clearly beyond their current limitations.
It's a very provocative concept, isn't it? To think that our digital creations could hold such deep insights about ourselves.
Right.
It makes you wonder if there's more to these virtual worlds than meets the eye.
Right. It challenges our assumptions about where we can find meaning and self-discovery.
Exactly.
And speaking of challenging assumptions, these poets were also given prompts based on E.J. Gold's American Book of the Dead, which, as I understand it, is a modern reinterpretation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
That's right. And what's particularly interesting is that Gold sees the bardos, or the in-between states, described in the book as not just something we experience after death, but as stages we navigate throughout our lives. So it's not just about the afterlife, but about understanding the transitions and transformations we undergo while we're alive.
Wow, that's a really mind-bending concept. So how did the poets respond to this blend of spirituality and virtual reality?
One of the prompts they tackled was based on a passage from the 17th Chamber of Gold's book, which deals with the way reality's sounds transform as we journey through these different states of being. Some poets, like Agenbite in The Refuge of Suffering and Misery, described feeling overwhelmed by the intensity of those sounds, seeking comfort in familiar patterns of thought and emotion.
It's like they're grappling with the overwhelming nature of existence. The constant influx of information and stimuli that we often try to block out.
But others, like Gnostic Man in Before Dawn, found a sense of peace in the stillness before the enormous sound of reality takes over.
Wow.
It's like they're embracing that moment of quiet contemplation before the chaos of daily life sets in.
And then there's Hoodoo Pilot's Ganesh Won't Res, where they use a technical glitch in Second Life. Their avatar refusing to res-as or reappear as a metaphor for the challenges we face on the spiritual path. They even connected to Langston Hughes' struggles with racism.
Wow.
Finding a link between the virtual and the real.
It's incredible how they've taken these seemingly mundane aspects of the virtual world and woven them into deeper reflections on life, death, and the human experience.
It's like they're showing us that inspiration can be found in the most unexpected places.
Exactly.
And speaking of unexpected inspiration, E.J. Gold also challenged the poets to write a poem titled Vinyl Balloons in a Graveyard.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about a prompt that gets you thinking.
Right. It's such a bizarre juxtaposition. It immediately sparks curiosity and forces you to consider the connections between life, death, celebration, and grief. And as you might imagine, the poets responded with a wide range of interpretations, from the somber to the playful and everything in between.
For example, Antimatter's Vinyl Balloons creates this hauntingly beautiful image of souls dancing on the strings of balloons held by children playing in a graveyard. It's both joyful and melancholic, capturing the delicate balance between life and death.
It's like those balloons represent the fleeting nature of life, the way joy and sorrow can coexist in such close proximity. And then you have Gnostic Man's Would You Believe It, which takes much more humorous approach. The narrator compares their grave marker to a vinyl balloon filled with hot air, just like their wife used to say about them.
That's hilarious. But it also touches on the idea that we can find humor and lightness even in death.
Exactly.
And what's interesting is that they weave in elements of Gold's teachings about the afterlife. Blending personal experience with spiritual exploration.
Exactly. And then there's Lorca's Vinyl Balloons in a Graveyard, which takes a more straightforward approach, stating simply, this is a graveyard, don't need your vinyl balloons, old bones don't party.
Wow.
It's a stark contrast to the other poems, but it highlights the diversity of perspectives within this community.
It's like they're acknowledging the gravity of death. You know, refusing to sugarcoat it with playful imagery. But even in that starkness, there's a certain beauty and honesty.
It's a reminder that there's no one right way to approach these big questions. That every individual brings their own unique perspective and experience to the table.
And speaking of bringing different perspectives together, the next section of the book features collaborative poems. Created using the Exquisite Corpse technique, which, for those who aren't familiar, is a surrealist game where each participant contributes a word or line without knowing what came before.
Like a poetic game of telephone. Where the final result is often surprising and unpredictable.
And what's even more interesting is that the Prosperity Poets actually did this online in Second Life.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine the chaos and creativity that must have ensued? Trying to build a poem together line by line with all the potential for miscommunication and unexpected twists?
It must have been quite a challenge. And the resulting poems like Spiritual Love and Community have this fragmented beauty to them. They're not always perfectly coherent, but they capture the spontaneous energy of that collaborative process.
Like in Spiritual Love, where they describe the whispers of the stars and the moon holding secrets about love. There's this one line that really stood out to me. Love indomitable, adamantine, imperishable, unquenchable, ubiquitous, essential. May you flow throughout every dimension, every heart, each raindrop, and all flowers. It's like a burst of pure emotion, a celebration of love's all-encompassing power.
Yeah.
And it's even more powerful considering that it emerged from this collective effort,
Right.
a group of individuals coming together to create something greater than themselves.
And community reflects on this idea of interconnectedness,
Yeah.
describing how everything we see in this world is a divine dream we dream together.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that even in a virtual world, we can find a sense of belonging and shared purpose.
It challenges the notion that online interactions are inherently isolating.
Oh.
These poets are demonstrating that virtual spaces can foster genuine connection and creative collaboration.
Yeah.
So we've seen how these poets have explored profound spiritual concepts, delved into the potential of their avatars, and even collaborated on these experimental poems,
Right.
all within the context of this virtual ashram. It's like they've created a whole new landscape for poetic expression.
And we've only just scratched the surface. Next, we'll dive into individual poems by each poet,
Okay.
uncovering even more personal insights and creative expressions. So now let's step into the individual worlds,
Okay.
crafted by these Prosperity Path poets.
Okay.
Remember, these are real people expressing themselves through their avatars, adding another layer to their words.
Yeah, it's like we're getting a glimpse into their virtual lives.
Yeah.
Their digital souls almost.
Right.
And Gail Baring Porter, one of the book's editors, really grabbed my attention. Her poems have this incredible richness,
Yeah.
both in imagery and emotion.
I agree. Her work is captivating. Take Transformation, for example.
Okay.
She delves into the symbolism of the serpent, contrasting its ancient reverence with its modern vilification.
Right.
What's intriguing is how this ties into her perspective on poetry itself.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like she's suggesting that poetry, like the serpent, can be a tool for both enlightenment and destruction.
Exactly.
It depends on how it's wielded, the intention behind the words.
Precisely. And in Partners on the Path, Baring Porter paints a vivid picture of interconnectedness. A deep communion with nature.
Okay.
She describes feeling this shared rhythm with unblinking eyes gazing from her feline face, whirring wings, hummingbird past my ears, glowing fins flashing in the pond.
Wow, that's beautiful. You can almost feel the energy of that connection,
Yeah.
transcending the boundaries between human and animal consciousness.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder about the nature of reality itself, blurring the lines between the physical and the spiritual.
Exactly. And this theme of yearning for connection continues in Wishing, written from a cat's perspective.
Okay.
The cat desires not just basic needs, but guts and gore,
Wow.
alongside angels and higher thoughts.
It's both playful and poignant.
Right.
It makes you think about the complexities of desire, how it can pull us in seemingly opposite directions.
Uh-huh.
Is it a basic instinct, or is it a spiritual yearning for something more?
That's a great question. And this tension between the mundane and the transcendent seems to weave its way through the whole collection.
Right.
Another poet whose work really stood out is Kyle Feet.
Okay.
He has a knack for these mind-bending pieces that challenge you to think differently.
Oh, yeah. Faces Combs or something else.
Yeah.
Black Magic, for instance,
Yeah.
is so simple yet profound. He talks about the duality within us,
Yeah.
the light and dark, neither chosen, but both essential parts of being human.
He strips away all the complexity and gets right to the core of that internal struggle.
Right.
It's a reminder that we're not just one thing,
Yeah.
but a complex tapestry of opposing forces.
Right.
And then there's Birth, which is just explosively vivid.
I know, right? Reading that poem was like experiencing a whirlwind of creation and destruction.
Yeah.
It's chaotic and surreal, full of unexpected imagery that throws you off balance.
It's a visceral poem, definitely not for the faint of heart.
Right.
But amidst the chaos, there's also a strange beauty.
Yeah.
It's like witnessing the raw power of existence unfold before your eyes.
And in Giving, Fight flips the script on traditional notions of love.
Okay.
He suggests that true love isn't about giving your heart away, but about giving your love freely without expectation of return.
That's a radical concept, isn't it? It
Yeah.
challenges the idea of possession and control that we often associate with romantic love.
It's like he's advocating for a more detached, selfless kind of loved one that's not dependent on external validation or reciprocity.
Right.
And then there's The Jump, which might be the most powerful poem in the entire collection.
Oh, absolutely. The image of jumping out of a plane 10,000 times with a faulty parachute, each time ending in a broken body, but a persistent drive towards an unknown victory.
Yeah.
It's both terrifying and exhilarating.
Right. You can't help but admire the sheer tenacity, the refusal to give up, even in the face of repeated failure.
Right.
But also makes you wonder, what is that victory they're striving for?
Yeah.
What's driving them to endure such pain and suffering?
And considering the context of this virtual ashram and its focus on spiritual exploration,
Right.
it takes on even deeper meaning.
Yeah.
It becomes a metaphor for the challenges and rewards of this spiritual journey itself.
Right.
The repeated deaths and rebirths we experience as we strive for enlightenment, shedding old beliefs and embracing new perspectives.
It's a reminder that growth and transformation often involve pain and discomfort, but the potential for liberation and self-discovery makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
And speaking of spiritual exploration, Kathleen Kelly's poems are infused with a deep sense of prayer and connection to the divine.
Her work has a raw honesty and vulnerability to it.
Yeah.
In The Door, she describes building a door to the other side, a trapdoor to escape suffering, only to find it leads to a locked room.
It's a powerful metaphor for the obstacles we encounter on the path to spiritual liberation.
Right.
It suggests that sometimes our own expectations and beliefs can hold us back.
Yeah.
We create these elaborate escape routes, only to find that true freedom lies within ourselves.
Exactly. And in Prayer to Archangel Zadkiel, there's this raw plea for transformation, a desperate cry to be released from fear and limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that spiritual growth often involves confronting our deepest fears and anxieties.
And Solace explores the paradoxical nature of emptiness and interconnectedness.
Okay.
It suggests that when we let go of our individual sense of self, we can find solace in the realization that we all have the same mind.
It's a challenging concept to embrace emptiness as a pathway to unity.
Right.
It goes against our ingrained sense of individuality.
Right. But it also points to the possibility of transcending our limited perspectives and experiencing a more expansive sense of self, one that's connected to everything and everyone.
It's a beautiful concept and one that's often explored in Eastern spiritual traditions.
Right.
And now let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And explore Ivan Lorie's poems, which have a much quieter contemplative beauty to them.
Yes, Lorie's work has a very different energy.
Yeah.
There's a stillness and a sense of longing that permeates their poems, like in Ghosts, where they reflect on how we project our own unfulfilled desires onto the idea of ghosts creating these phantoms that haunt us.
It's a fascinating observation. It makes you think about the nature of memory and loss.
Right.
And how we often cling to the past instead of embracing the present moment.
It's like those ghosts represent the things we haven't let go of, the regrets and missed opportunities that we carry with us.
Yeah.
And The Brave is such a moving tribute to home family and the courage to face the unknown. It's set against the backdrop of war, but it's ultimately a celebration of life and the enduring power of love.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope and beauty to be found.
Right.
And in Fire Reflected in Water Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, Lorie explores the nature of perception, suggesting that we often misunderstand the true nature of reality.
I love the lines where they say, even the most idealistic people see the illusion of air as empty, the illusion of rocks, trees, and bodies in general as solid, even if only solid seeming, the phantoms of their dreams or their solipsistic imaginations.
It's a powerful challenge to our assumptions about the world.
Yeah.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew about reality and perception.
Right. It's a reminder to look beyond the surface of things and to be open to experiencing the world in new and unexpected ways.
And now let's move on to Sylvia Morgan's poems, which are full of heart and vulnerability.
Okay.
Her poem, Rabbit, is absolutely heartbreaking. It portrays a young girl who's learned to hide from the world due to past trauma, a stark reminder of the lasting impact of childhood experiences.
It's a call for compassion and understanding, urging us to be more sensitive to the invisible wounds that people carry with them.
Right.
And then in No, Never Alone, Morgan offers a message of hope and resilience, reminding us that even in our darkest moments, we're connected to something greater than ourselves.
She beautifully affirms the power of dreams and the interconnectedness of all things, offering comfort and solace to those who feel lost and alone.
And Death's Visitation is a fascinating exploration of consciousness beyond the physical body.
Okay.
She describes an out-of-body experience encountering death with a sense of peace and serenity.
It's almost like she's offering a glimpse into what lies beyond this life.
Right.
A vision of death as a peaceful transition rather than something to be feared.
It's a very comforting perspective, especially for those who are grappling with their own mortality or loss of loved ones.
Right.
And then there's growing up in Tennessee,
Uh-huh.
which evokes this sense of nostalgia for a simpler time before the digital age. It makes you reflect on how technology has transformed our lives, both for better and for worse.
Yeah.
There's a sense of loss for the slower pace of life, the connection to nature and community that seemed more prevalent in the past.
But it's not a romanticized view of the past.
Right.
Morgan acknowledges the complexities of that time, the challenges and hardships that people faced.
Right.
It's more about recognizing the trade-offs we've made in our pursuit of progress.
Right. And it invites us to consider how we can integrate the best of both worlds, how we can harness technology without losing touch with the things that truly matter.
Now let's turn our attention to Tamara Murray, whose poems have this raw, almost mystical quality to them.
Okay.
Improbable Truths tells the story of a woman who breaks free from her conventional life and steps into a world of magic and illusion.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary experiences are the ones we least expect.
Right.
And EMC2 is a really intriguing piece. It explores consciousness as a vast universe of secrets and interconnectedness, suggesting that true awakening is like entering a whole new dimension of reality.
It's like she's describing a shift in perception, a transcendence of the ordinary, where the boundaries between self and other dissolve, and we experience a profound sense of unity.
And Notes from a Lonely Outpost is a celebration of the human body and the sacredness of everyday life.
Okay.
It's a reminder to find beauty and meaning in the mundane, to appreciate the simple things that often go unnoticed.
And her poem, Last Hour, offers a poignant reflection on death as a return to the beloved.
Okay.
There's a sense of acceptance and surrender in her words, a letting go of fear and embracing the unknown.
It's a beautiful way to reframe our understanding of death, to see it not as an end, but as a homecoming, a reunion with the source of all love and being.
And lastly, there are The Language Box and Longing,
Okay.
both short but incredibly evocative pieces that explore themes of communication, connection, and the yearning for something more.
I was particularly struck by these lines from Longing. The prodigal daughter never returned home. She knew her brother's envious eyes and the weakness of the other. She would never trade her solitary longing for the fatted calf of belonging.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
There's so much depth and meaning packed into those few lines.
Right.
It speaks to the courage it takes to choose your own path, even if it means foregoing the comforts of conventional belonging.
It's a reminder that true freedom sometimes lies in embracing our own unique journey, even if it leads us away from the familiar and the expected.
And we can't forget Gerald Porter, the other editor of this collection.
Right.
His poems are incredibly diverse, ranging from quiet contemplations on nature to powerful narratives about social justice and the human condition.
His range is really impressive. You can feel his passion and commitment to exploring the full spectrum of human experience.
Absolutely. Take The Room is Empty, for example.
Okay.
He creates this eerie stillness that's suddenly shattered by a throbbing roar, a sound that's both tender and insistent.
It's like being on the verge of something both terrifying and beautiful, a moment of heightened awareness, where the boundaries between inner and outer worlds blur.
Yes, and in this place explores a similar theme, describing a location that's both familiar and unsettling. It's like he's tapping into that uncanny feeling we sometimes get when a place evokes both comfort and unease.
And the vision of Sojourner Truth is a powerful tribute to the indomitable spirit of this remarkable woman.
Yeah.
The imagery of fiery transformation and unwavering pursuit of freedom is just breathtaking.
It's a reminder of the power of resilience and resistance.
Right.
Especially in the face of oppression.
And the Houses of Illusion and Truth contrasts two very different ways of being in the world. It's a metaphor for the choices we make and the consequences of those choices.
The House of Illusions represents the pursuit of fleeting pleasures and external validation, while the House of Truth offers a more fulfilling path based on authenticity, connection, and inner peace.
And Before Dawn captures that peaceful stillness of the time just before daybreak. He describes the dew forming on even the weeds in the garden, a reminder that beauty can be found in the most unexpected places.
It's like he's inviting us to appreciate the simple wonders of nature, the quiet moments of grace that we often overlook.
And When I Get There is a fascinating exploration of the nature of time and arrival.
Okay.
It suggests that we often reach our destination before we even realize we're on the journey.
It's like those moments when you suddenly realize you've accomplished something you never thought possible and you wonder how you got there.
Right.
It's a reminder to trust the process and to embrace the journey, even when the destination seems far off.
Right, and it speaks to the mysterious workings of the universe, the way things often unfold in ways we can't predict or control.
And then you have the good face of Thanksgiving, which takes a humorous approach to the chaos and abundance of this holiday.
Okay.
It's a lighthearted but relatable take on a tradition that many of us can probably identify with.
It's a nice reminder to not take ourselves too seriously, especially during the holidays.
And then there's the Freedman's Restoration, a powerful celebration of freedom and renewal, a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit.
The imagery of cleansing and restoration is so powerful. The washing away of the poison of bondage and the reclaiming of one's true identity.
It's a reminder that no matter how much we've been through, there's always the possibility of healing and transformation.
And The Alien Among Us is a fascinating tribute to E.J. Gold, the leader of the Prosperity Path Ashram.
Right.
It portrays him as a Pied Piper, leading people out of their ordinary lives and into a deeper understanding of themselves.
It speaks to the transformative power of a charismatic leader.
Yeah.
Someone who can inspire others to question their assumptions and embrace new possibilities.
And Hermes' Song of Deliverance is like a mythical journey, a descent into the underworld and a triumphant return to the light.
It's filled with rich symbolism and archetypal imagery, a reminder that the journey to self-discovery is often a cyclical process of death and rebirth.
And Paris is Burning is a captivating exploration of the city's history, culture, and enduring spirit.
Yeah, it captures the city's duality, the beauty and the darkness, the allure and the danger, all interwoven to create a tapestry of vibrant life.
And then there's St. Valentine's Day Massacre, a surprisingly personal poem that explores the pain of unrequited love. It's raw, honest, and deeply moving.
It's a reminder that even the most painful experiences can be transformed into art, that vulnerability can be a source of strength and connection.
And My Attention Is Roused is a short but profound reflection on the nature of awareness and presence, the ability to be fully present in each moment.
It speaks to the power of mindfulness, the practice of paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment.
And the task undertaken highlights the importance of purpose and community, reminding us that we're not alone in our struggles and that we can find strength and support in connecting with like-minded individuals.
It's a call to action, an invitation to find our purpose and to join with others in creating a better world.
And Wide Open is a celebration of freedom and surrender, a letting go of limitations, and an embrace of the vastness of existence.
It's a reminder to step outside our comfort zones and to embrace the unknown, to trust that the universe will support us as we explore new horizons.
And The Sun Shines on McDougal Street evokes the spirit of the Beat Generation and the allure of counterculture, a time when people challenged societal norms and explored alternative ways of living.
It's a reminder that there will always be those who dare to be different, who refuse to conform to the expectations of the masses.
And Where They Are Going is a haunting meditation on the human condition, the endless cycle of desire and disappointment, and the search for meaning in a world that often feels meaningless.
It's a reminder that we're all on a journey searching for something more, something that will bring us lasting fulfillment.
And I Walk a Narrow Precipice is a powerful exploration of the dangers and temptations that we face on the spiritual path.
It's a reminder to stay true to ourselves and to our values, even when we're tempted to stray from the path.
And The Woman in White is a haunting and evocative piece that explores themes of mystery memory and the allure of the unknown.
It's a reminder that there are still mysteries to be explored, secrets to be uncovered, and that the journey of self-discovery is never truly over.
And finally, Child of Light and Darkness is a powerful statement of self-acceptance, a recognition that we are all complex beings, capable of both great good and great evil.
It's a reminder to embrace the totality of our being, to integrate our shadow sides as well as our light, and to find a path that honors both.
Wow, that was quite a journey through the individual voices of these Prosperity Path poets.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see the depth and breadth of their creativity, the range of emotions and experiences they explore in their work.
It's a testament to the power of poetry to give voice to the human spirit, to connect us across boundaries of time, space, and even virtual realities.
You know, it's mind-blowing to think we've journeyed through so many poems already and there's still more to uncover.
Yeah.
Real poets in a virtual world just keeps on giving.
It does. It really speaks to the richness and diversity of this online community.
Yeah.
The Prosperity Path Ashram seems to attract a wide range of voices, each with their unique perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a poet whose work really stood out for me in this last section is Mark Roche.
Oh, yeah.
His poems are so playful and full of these clever twists of language.
Yes. Roche has a knack for weaving humor and philosophical depth together.
Right.
Take Masters of Alchemy, for instance.
Okay.
It's just a few lines long, but it packs a punch with the phrase, turtles, turtles all the way down.
I loved that line. It's a fun image, but it also points to this profound concept of infinite regress.
Right.
The idea that every explanation relies on another explanation and so on endlessly.
Exactly.
It's like a philosophical rabbit hole.
It makes you question the very foundation of knowledge and reality.
Right.
And identity theft continues this exploration of identity in a world saturated with illusions. Roche writes, but drowned in the ocean or lost in our town, your secret sauce potion keeps swirling around.
There's this sense of being lost in a sea of distractions, searching for something authentic amidst all the noise. It resonates with that feeling of trying to define yourself in a world where identity is constantly being shaped and reshaped by external forces.
Right, and it makes you wonder, what is that secret sauce potion that defines our true selves?
Right.
Is it something we discover or something we create?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Roche doesn't offer any easy answers, but he gives us these playful, thought-provoking prompts to grapple with.
And he also offers some practical advice for living a more meaningful life, like in craftsmanship and how to prevent war.
Okay.
They're short, almost like little mantras,
Yeah.
but they encourage us to focus on the things that truly matter.
They're like those bite-sized pieces of wisdom you find on inspirational posters, but with a bit more depth and wit.
Right.
And then there's Gawa Siddhi's Volume 2, which contrasts the anxiety of overthinking with the liberating power of action.
I love the image of dancing with Mama Kali, the Hindu goddess of destruction and creation.
Oh, wow.
It's a reminder to embrace chaos and uncertainty, to let go of our need to control everything.
Sometimes you just have to leap into the unknown and trust that you'll figure it out along the way.
Absolutely. And speaking of leaping into the unknown, we have to mention Jimmy J, Jesus, and life itself as interpreted by El Kabong.
Oh yeah, that one is definitely a trip.
It's a wild ride through religious and literary references, all filtered through the lens of a cartoon character.
It's like Roche took all these disparate elements and threw them into a blender, creating this wonderfully absurd and thought-provoking concoction.
It's a reminder to not take things too seriously, to find the humor and playfulness in even the most profound topics.
Right.
And his poems, in the immortal words of Elmer Fudd, "Thewy's something skewy going on around Huey and then try harder," both poke fun at the limitations of human perception.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying, hey, there's more to reality than meets the eye, so keep looking, keep questioning.
And he continues this playful exploration of language and form in poems like Fool's Leash, the ancient Chinese Goel Rush.
Right.
It's a reminder that poetry can be fun and experimental, a way to play with words and ideas.
And he touches on various aspects of the human experience in short, poignant pieces like science class, vacation, funhouse mirrors, acting school, and digital age apples.
I particularly loved Science Class, where he encourages us to find the magic in the everyday world, to see the wonder in the ordinary.
It's like he's saying, don't wait for some extraordinary event to feel awe and wonder.
Right.
It's all around you if you just open your eyes.
And vacation is a reminder to appreciate the present moment, to savor the journey, not just the destination. It's so easy to get caught up in the planning and the anticipation that we forget to enjoy the actual experience.
Right. It's like we're always rushing towards the next thing, never fully present in the now.
And acting school is a great metaphor for the creative process.
Yeah.
Roche suggests that living our poems is just as important as writing them. It's about bringing our words to life through our actions, embodying the truths we express in our art.
It's a call for authenticity, a reminder to align our actions with our values and to express ourselves fully in every aspect of our lives.
Now let's move on to Christiane Wolters, who brings a very different tone to the collection.
Okay.
Her poem, The Tear, is a beautiful meditation on grief and healing.
I found that poem so moving.
Yeah.
The way she describes tears as a soothing balm for the broken heart is so tender and compassionate.
It's a reminder that it's okay to grieve, to allow ourselves to feel the pain of loss.
Yeah.
Tears are a natural part of the healing process.
And in Lilac in Bloom, Wolters reflects on the loss of nature's beauty due to human actions, calling for a return to a more harmonious way of living.
It's a powerful reminder that our choices have consequences and that we have a responsibility to care for the planet.
And her untitled poem is a simple but profound expression of gratitude and joy, a celebration of the beauty of everyday moments.
It's a reminder to appreciate the small things, to find joy in the simple pleasures of life.
And Yanesh's poems are so full of emotion and movement. In Untitled, they describe a yearning to embrace something, ultimately finding that embrace in death.
It's a powerful exploration of mortality and the search for connection.
Right.
There's a sense of longing and surrender in their words.
And Watching Over You is a more contemplative piece, reflecting on themes of loss and the presence of loved ones who have passed away.
Right.
It's a beautiful and comforting reminder that even in death, love endures.
It's a reminder that those we love are never truly gone, that their spirits live on in our hearts and memories.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into real poets in a virtual world, I'm struck by the sheer diversity of voices and perspectives we've encountered.
It's amazing how this collection shatters any preconceived notions we might have had about what poetry can be or where it can be found.
It's proof that creativity can flourish anywhere, even in the seemingly sterile environment of a virtual world.
Right.
And it's a testament to the power of community, the way in which like-minded individuals can come together to support each other's growth and inspire each other's creativity.
It's like they've created this digital sanctuary where they can explore their deepest thoughts and feelings, challenge each other, and create something truly beautiful and meaningful together.
Absolutely. And for me, one of the key takeaways is that these virtual worlds are not just spaces for escapism. They can be platforms for genuine connection, introspection, and creative expression.
It makes you wonder what other hidden gems are out there waiting to be discovered in these online spaces.
Right. What other unexpected communities are forming? What other creating collaborations are taking shape?
It's an exciting thought. And I'd like to leave our listeners with this challenge.
Okay.
What if we approached our own virtual interactions, whether in online games, social media, or even work meetings, with a sense of curiosity and openness to unexpected connections and creative possibilities?
What if we saw these digital spaces as potential breeding grounds for poetry, for art, for genuine human connection?
Right.
Who knows what we might discover?
That's a beautiful invitation. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, this was great.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep connecting, both in the real world and the virtual one.